Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Words Have Power. I'm just waiting to see if the sound is halfway decent. That's all it is. I'm just hoping. Live on the tube, also on Twitch. Hey there. How you doing on Twitch? Okay. I guess the sound is good. Yay, we might have fixed that problem. I'm so happy. Okay, that's good to know. All right. So for the past 2 days, I have not live streamed because I've been helping a friend who lives out north of LA. Please don't ask me for the exact location. I don't know. LA is just like this big sprawling space, and I get confused. Um, and while I'm not boots on the ground there, I've been like putting my friend into contact with other people who are to um, help them. When warnings about the first fire started coming out. Okay, so here's the background. Way back in the day, there were these two people who were kind of amazing, and they had similarities, so I introduced them. They got married, and they proceeded to have, I think they were working on having their own football team. So they had a bunch of children, moved out to LA. C-19 happens, and the wife caught it and passed away, and this is before the vaccines came out. So he's been grieving her loss, his life partner, and taking care of the children. Thankfully, a lot of family there. So on this property, it's a decent sized property. They have a bunch of people living there. They did it in more of a Louisiana kind of way, to where, yeah, it's a decent sized property, but they have multiple houses on this property. So what they decided as a family was to pack everything up and buy another property elsewhere that is not as fire prone and move. And they're looking at building, hopefully, if there's no fire on this property, they'll build more housing and help people who lost everything to have affordable housing. The whole point is to keep people from being price gouged as much as they can within their means. These are not like super wealthy people. They're just, trying to help out in any way they can. While on top of it, he's probably going to be grieving the loss of his wife, my friend, for the rest of his life. They were perfect. Okay, I'm one hell of a matchmaker. um, and the children are going to have to adjust to living somewhere else, and it's a lot. It's a lot for everybody there. Okay, yeah, they really are really good people. They took everything that was not nailed down, and some things that were nailed down. He took the thing where she was keeping track of the heights of the children, because they planned on living there for the rest of their lives. They intended fully to be buried on this property. And that's part of the problem, because she was buried there. So it's been a lot. So and I have other friends that had moved out to LA, and helping them connect with people. And then I'm watching content creators on here talking about Scientology. I swear to God, just when I think I'm getting away from them, they pull me back in. After Katrina, I had a run-in with them. I've talked about this. Now apparently they're out there in LA doing what they do best, which is nothing, causing problems and whatnot. That's great. They don't come in and help. They just cause problems. is what they do. Like, you know, they're going to save the planet, but in what way, where, and how exactly are they going to save the planet? They're not. They're not. Because apparently their people were out there going through and looking at donations and taking what they wanted, apparently. And meanwhile, you know, people are suffering. It's true though. Like it's true. Like what we went through getting Scientology to leave us alone out in New Orleans after Katrina was ridiculous, okay? And then other people had problems too. It wasn't just me and my group. Scientology doesn't know how to just back off. It's just astounding to me. It's astounding. It's astonishing. I don't know what it's going to take. Well, I do know, but it's not probably not going to happen. Anywho, now around the same time this article comes out about Neil Gaiman. So, as somebody who's in the goth alternative communities, that alternative thing was drummed up by mainstream mainstream BS. We didn't actually call it alternative back in the day. Okay, that's not the terminology we used. I'm a former victims advocate. And when I read this article, I cannot go over this article again because I don't want to trigger anyone. I'm not going to show it on here. I'm not going to go into detail. What I read was it was alleging that Gaiman was effectively telling his victims, alleged victims, that him forcing himself on them was them being in a BDSM, a DS, it's called a DS situation. Yeah. So much ick. So DS is uppercase D, lowercase s. Dominant / submissive situation. The allegations against Gaiman are not quinky. A lot of the time you will have P words, please infer, couch their behaviors as if it is BDSM or quink, when it is not. It is in fact abuse. I did not know, I had no idea that there was a connection between Gaiman and Scientology. What the actual F? How many perpetrators are coming out of Scientology doing horrific things to people? How much is it going to take for the powers that be to realize, hey, there's a problem? You got Manson, Charles Manson, who had ties to Scientology. You've got every natural disaster Scientology sends their people out to do nothing but cause problems. That is what I have seen them do. Then you've got Gaiman, and these allegations are friggin' horrific. Then you've got Danny Masterson. Then you've got, I mean, just if you know of anyone else, put them in the thing. You've got what happened to Lisa McPherson. You've got Miss Cavage's wife. I can't even remember her. There are so many names running through my head. Right, Shelley Miscavige, was that it? She goes missing for who knows how long. Nobody knows what's actually going on with her. Tom Cruise. Listen, the fish. Have you heard of the fish? Have you heard of all the weirdness? Because there's way more under that surface that is disturbing. Okay, and then it's like, how many people exactly Then you got a serial killer who was hiding out in Scientology, by the way. And Scientology, you cannot tell me they did not know that. You cannot tell me the way they dig into people that they did not know that. Then you got these allegations against Aaron Smith Levin. And then you got this other dude, I can't even remember his name, with the rainbow shirt. What? 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 Excuse me? Like, exactly how many? And then Miriam, okay, as a child. So all these people who were harming children, women, elderly people with chronic illness and disabilities. When exactly is the government, all of the governments actually, going to look at Scientology and be like, what the F? Absolutely not. And it's not a religion anyway. You tell me any other religion where you have to pay for every step of the way to learn what the religion is actually really about. Just one. I'll wait. This right here. Negotiations are important. Consent is important. Neil Gaiman, what he's alleged to have been doing, uh, that's not it, dude. That's not it. Yep. Oh, they do? That's interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, but that's not the same as like, you know, when do you learn about Xenu and all that mess? Like you had to get up pretty high to learn about what it's about. If I go into a Catholic church and I'm like, hey, what is this religion about? They'll tell me. They'll just be like straight up, yeah, it's about this. Jesus. Right? Scientology doesn't do that. Scientology is like, oh, you got to pay. Okay, you better have millions of dollars in the bank account. And if you don't, well, hey, here's this thing that you can join where we will treat you like a slave. It's not chattel slavery, but it's not that far away when you look at things like the whole, the RPF is pretty bad. It's, you know, oh God. That movie sucked so hard. What was the name of that movie? I can't remember now. And there were actors and actresses in there who I don't think are in Scientology, and I feel bad for them because I don't think they knew what they were getting into. Exactly. South Park. Oh, God. It's pretty bad when, like, one of our prophets of this age is South Park. No offense to South Park, but yeah. So Neil Gaiman. I have been a fan of Neil Gaiman for a long time. I have several comics. I have I don't know where it is, but I have a book. There's a book that I normally will read to friends when they have like colds or they're going through withdrawal and they want to get into rehab and all that while I'm like helping them find a bed somewhere. I'll read them this book. It's about I think it takes place in Japan. A monk who has an interaction with a fox who can shapeshift into a very beautiful woman. And I've read this book to friends for probably since Y2K. And people will message me, hey, you know, can you read me that book? And that's how we know it's like a things are not good moment for them, right? So if they're thinking of taking themselves off the planet or anything like that, I'll just read them this book and we'll sit and we'll talk, and it kind of distracts them from whatever bad thing is going on for just a little bit. So now I can't read that book anymore. Thanks a lot, Neil Gaiman. Now I am contemplating selling my comics somewhere and just being like, nope, I want my money back. I want my time back. I want my faith in humanity back. And on top of that, he couched himself also as a feminist. How many men have we seen say, I'm a feminist? He for her with the hand, right? What was he doing with that hand? So I need a new book. Does anyone have any suggestions? It can't be too long. This book was like kind of the perfect length. I feel like I owe everybody an apology, but when you don't know, you don't know, because that's what toxic people do. They will shield what they're actually doing and pretend to be the nice guy. I'm such a nice guy. Now, when I hear the term nice guy, I'm like automatically, oh, are you a nice guy or are you a serial artist? Because I have questions. And I think that's valid at this point. Oh, God. Al Noor Elemental Origins series. I'll look into that. At this point, I need to be able to vet the author, like, heavily. Um, or maybe I'll just write something up myself. I don't even know. 5 books in the main storyline. Each book has its own spinoffs. Right on. I'm just gonna pop that up. I will. I'll look at that because I cannot, in good conscience, read that book to people who, might be a survivor themselves. I was so kerfuffled that I made a sweater. I made this to deal with what I was seeing in that article. There's definitely pattern of behavior. And if there are these victims that are coming forward, that's, like I've said before, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the tip of the iceberg. And NDAs cannot protect you if you are committing crimes against people. And it's almost like people like Neil Gaiman don't even pay attention to that fact. You can have somebody sign 50 million NDAs, but if you're committing crimes against people, guess what? You're not safe, asshole. I'm just going to say it. Asshole. Allegedly, in Minecraft, Neil Gaiman is an asshole. Right on. I mean, if you want to put the name of the book in here, go ahead. Please do. You can go ahead and promote your book. It's fine. It's fine. So, in connecting with friends of mine who are working disaster relief, boots on the ground there in LA, there are a couple people out there, and they're talking about that they are currently dealing with empathy fatigue, and they're all fans of Neil Gaiman as well. So they're seeing, while they're out there working disaster relief, the one messaged me and it was like, I was going to ask you to read me that book, but do you have a different book? And I'm like, what is happening? Because I didn't hear about the accusations. I heard there were some accusations. I didn't know what they were at that time. So my friend sends me the link to the article, and I was like, oh, so my friend's dealing with empathy fatigue, and on top of that, sees this article, and that just makes it even worse for them. And I'm like, okay, now you need to, beyond just reading you a book, I need you to take a small portion of time, tell the person, people you're working with, you need some self-care. because empathy fatigue is a very real thing that you have to watch out for when you're working in disaster relief. It just is. I'm not even working it right now, and I've been dealing with it myself because watching these fires, knowing how many people are just losing everything and all of this, and then seeing the Neil Gaiman thing and understanding how many fans are going to be affected by this because they're survivors or they have loved ones who are survivors. And then how many people who were in Scientology and got out and see that Neil Gaiman, who is connected to Scientology, is being accused of all this mess. That's a lot of people who are being harmed by Neil Gaiman. And then also they're seeing Scientology out there in LA doing their kerfuffle as per usual. It's just the huge, right, for Scientology. What is that going to bring up? And then I'm like, Jesus, man, can people get a break? Just a little bit of a break would be great. Right on. I'll see if I can check those out. So, yeah. So if you're out there working disaster relief or you're seeing these stories about, the allegations about Neil Gaiman and all of that, if you're dealing with empathy fatigue, there's a reason I keep bringing up hydrate, trigger your positive senses, take your time and do your self-care. And that's because it will help you to recharge your batteries and recover from the empathy fatigue. Fatigue can look a lot like depression, and it kind of coincides. They go hand in hand and run parallel. So, the not being able to get up out of bed, just being super tired, and like for me, I don't experience apathy, thankfully, because that kind of goes against my nature. But some people do experience starting to feel desensitized or apathetic to things that are going on. You have to take time to do self-care. A whole lot of people that I know who work in disaster relief will take long hot baths or cold baths, whatever it is that you like, right? Exactly. Just sitting there staring at a wall sometimes and playing music and just not doing anything. You know, you have to recharge and replenish. Recharge and replenish. What kind of books are you wanting to read? They can't be too long because usually I'll read these books as I'm looking for resources for the person. Hold on, give me one sec, y'all. So I'm not recommending this, by the way. So see, I have this. How many pages is this? Hold on. I need my glasses. So this is 320 pages, but some of this is like other things in here. That other book, I can't find it. I don't know where exactly it is. Sometimes I have to hunt for it. The other book was probably maybe 100 and something pages, and it was the perfect length. for helping someone through a hard time. So if they're having suicidal ideation, um, maybe they were just art or S8 or they're dealing with a DV situation. So while I'm reading to them, I'll also be on another device looking for resources and stuff to give them. I feel bad having this in my house at this point. I've been a Neil Gaiman fan for a long time. Because in the goth community, he was pretty big. Um, and all this time, he's been hurting people, probably. If these allegations, I'm just saying, I have to say things in a certain kind of way because I wish I didn't. Because you don't have these kinds of allegations just come out of nowhere. Diane Wayne Jones, her books are enjoyable to adults and children. It was a very, very wonderful lady with a wonderful and kind and surprisingly humble life. Not long. Some are series if you want to get super into that world. Very interesting. Oh, wow. Yeah, I have a bunch of friends who have like, certain characters tattooed on them. One friend has decided that she's taking Death, the character Death, away from Neil Gaiman. She's keeping that tattoo as an FU to Gaiman. You really screwed the pooch, dude. I hope you see this video. You can fuck all the way off. A femdom to a pretender, you can fuck all the way off because negotiations, communication, consent, respecting boundaries and limitations is a key part of BDSM. And apparently, a certain person does not understand that. And it's disgusting. So there was a book, it's a series, I think 3 books, 50 Shades of Ew that came out. And people were like, oh, I love this book. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That series shows you the opposite of what the reality should be. Yeah. Yep. I feel you. Diana Wayne Jones is mostly a fantasy writer, and she studied under. Oh, really? And wow. I wish. Her themes and ideas have inspired much of modern fantasy themes today. How is it I haven't heard of her? We all know how. Yes, it is. Interesting. That I will definitely have to check out her books then, because that's kind of what I was looking for. Because in this book, at the beginning, and there were points like I wouldn't read the whole thing. There were certain sections that I would usually read, and that's where the monk is just working in his garden, taking care of his little humble temple, and it's just the more mundane parts. And then the interesting bits with the fox and, like more careful, curating what I was reading to them. She's humble, that's why. Have you heard of Howl's Moving Castle? Yes, I have. I love Howl's Moving Castle, but now I'm kind of scared. Not gonna lie. I'm kind of like, I never would have thought. When I chose that particular book out, I thought that it was safe, and I'm so offended. There's a thing that I need to talk about. This right here, I am so offended. This right here. Mr. Gaiman, stop using something that you know nothing about, Mr. Gaiman. You know nothing about this symbol right here. You know absolutely not one fucking thing about this symbol right here. That is offensive. That just hit me, y'all. Like, the Ankh stands for something Gaiman knows nothing about. Yeah, I think we have a copy of that here. I used to have all of his movies. There's Moving Castle, and then there's, oh shoot, the one where the girl's parents turn into pigs. I do believe that's one of his too. I forget the name of it now. Like, he has a few different movies and whatnot that I really like. Maybe I'll look at some of his. Um, really interesting. Um, yeah, I've met him several times at conventions, just, as a person walking around and then working security. I've met him several times. If I had known these hands, these elbows, these knees, these feet, listen, it would on site, on site. And I would have looked around to see if there were any Klingons or, certain other people around. Hey, I hope for his sake he stays away from conventions from this point forward, because there would be certain people who will be like on site. I'm not even kidding. Spirited Away. Yeah, that's a good one too. Really? That's interesting. Yeah, those movies are like, oh shoot, Zatuichi. I would play like Zatuichi and I'm gonna say his name wrong. The one with Howl's Moving Castle and all of that, Spirited Away. Miyazaki. I don't want to say his name wrong, but I would put those movies on like back to back because I love Zatuichi. Exactly. Yes. Thank you for understanding my assignment. Right on. See, that might I might want to I might want to go her way, because at this point I just, dude, that is so cute. I love stories. I love backgrounds like that. Like, um, that's very sweet. So yeah, so Scientology has a problem. This channel's not, I swear to you, this channel's not like an anti-Scientology channel, but this just keeps coming up and being relevant, and here we are. Like, Scientology, what the fuck are you doing? Do you even know? Do y'all even know what the fuck is going on? Like, the allegations against Neil Gaiman, and apparently that comes from, it's directly linked to his dad, who, ugh, like, oh my God. I literally think that Scientology purposefully brings out the worst in people, actively. Charles Manson, anyone? Anyone? Charles Manson had ties to Scientology, legitimate ties to Scientology. And look what happened after he had those ties with Scientology. People, who fell under his sway would say that he was hypnotic. It was like he hypnotized them. It was like he did he audit them? Was he an auditor? Why does it seem like so many people who were auditors and were in Scientology go on to do horrific things to people, and all these people have a similar response of, "It was like I was hypnotized." Why is that? Thank you. Yeah. Great, huh? It certainly seems like there is a preponderance of evidence to show that there are serious problems with Scientology. I hope he stays in prison. He needs to stay in prison for the rest of his life because he will offend again. He has a pattern. He started one group, it failed. Then he started another group, Nexium. Look where that happened. I mean, listen, there's a problem. Yep. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. There's a book. Hold on. Let me see. There's a book written by a uh, investigative journalist, and this dude deep dove for over a decade. I think it was like over 2 decades. Um, Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find this book real quick. It's a really, really good book. Wait, what? I just found a paper I wasn't even looking for. What did I just find? Okay, so wow, I found something that was written about the book that I'm talking about. Is called Chaos: Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s, but it does go into Scientology too. So it's a really good book. You can get it on Audible and other sellers. It's by Tom O'Neill with Dan Peppenbring. It's really good. Check it out. Um, they also learn the methods of mass scale coercive control when they're in Scientology, and then they just um, apply what they've learned. It's pretty horrifying. Yes, so that would explain Aaron Smith Levin and certain other people, right? I'm a never in, so that's why I'm like, if I'm wrong, let me know. Yeah, yes. Ugh. John Paul Sweeney, that's another dude who, I mean, look at any of his articles. Um, Thriving Cult of Greed and Power. That might be another book I have to look up. Okay. I mean, it I'm not trying to make it that way. It just is that way. I When I saw Scientology was out there during the LA fires, like, I was like, "Dude, please, no." And then finding out Neil Gaiman is attached, please, no. Ugh. Yeah, me either. Yeah. Dude, I'm just gonna leave this up for a little while. Please, by all means, beware of charismatic speakers with ulterior motives. Please, for the love of everything holy. My point was Scientology isn't the only topic. Books are a repeating topic, and that's wonderful. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just, uh, I, mm, Scientology just inserts themselves everywhere. They're annoying. They're like cockroaches. And I don't mean the average, everyday Scientologist. I mean the higher ups you know, who are creating all the different like front groups, like Narcan and all of that. And then, because the average everyday Scientologist probably doesn't even know all the things that are going on because they have like nanny things on their computer, so they can't probably even see what all is going on, right? Because control, the destructive groups control the information that their members can see and will see and are allowed to see. Anything that controls what you can or cannot know about, probably destructive, which just equals abusive. Grammatical error in my title. Okay. These are the things that can happen when you're dealing with empathy fatigue. So I'll fix that later. Um, yeah, you just start, and then too, I'm like, I don't care if I spell his name wrong. The disrespect is intended, definitely. Um, I'll fix that later though. The average person is struggling to survive in Scientology, and they're hostages and slaves essentially, and they deserve better. No one deserves to be treated that way. Mm. No one deserves to be treated like that. Absolutely not. Nope. There should not be an RPF. There should not be a hole. There should not be holding people hostage to try to force them to stay in the group. There should not be isolating a woman in a room when she's having a mental health crisis and needs help, but instead she loses all of her weight and is unalive from malnutrition and dehydration, which is a horrific way to die. That's Lisa McPherson. Hold on. It's Gaiman, if I'm not mistaken. But I misspelled it. But you know what? I, I could give no shits. um, exactly. People should be able to leave any religion which without having to lose friends, family, jobs, housing, whatever. Like, come on, people. What are we doing here? If you're a Catholic priest or nun and you decide to leave your order, you usually leave with a pension because of the work you did. And it's not going to be like a ton of money, but it'll be enough to get you started on your life. Except for Opus Dei. Opus Dei does not do that. The regular Catholic Church does that, though. I know that because I had a friend who was at one point in one of the orders and left out. Um, yeah, I ordinarily do too, and I am also on the spectrum, so I totally get you. I'm just like, dude, what the F with the allegations against him is so bad. Is so bad I won't even talk about the details here. I don't want to trigger anyone. Um, right on, right on. We're pretty chill here. We're pretty, pretty chill. Yeah, and those what are they called? Knowledge reports. So basically, it's more like 1984. If you've ever read that book, your child could overhear you say something that's inappropriate according to the religion, and then write up a knowledge report about you and get you in trouble, or your spouse or best friends. I mean, what the fuck, dude? So there are no from what I'm gathering, there's no expectation of privacy or private conversations in Scientology. That's a huge red flag. Yep, that is true. That's part of the reason my friend left his order. I mean, he was disgusted, lost his faith, all that. Yep. I like that. I like your energy. I love that energy right there. Um, Thetans. Thetans. Fuck. From a dude who was writing really, really shitty sci-fi. I actually, before I even knew Scientology was a thing, there was this used bookstore called the Jelly Bean. And I go in and I grab one of L. Ron Hubbard's books. I didn't know anything about any of that. And the owner looked at the book, looked at me, and was like, "Huh?" I'm like, "We all know I like sci-fi, horror, fantasy, all of that. I'm just, whatever. I'm done with the Xanth series, so, I need more to read." And he was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna let you borrow this because you're not gonna want to keep it." And boy, was he correct. That was one of the crappiest sci-fi books I have ever read. I don't even remember the name of it, or it was just trash. Like, I don't even think I read the whole thing. Like, I couldn't make it through, which is saying something because I'll read like instruction manuals. Like, I'll read anything. So in his bookstore, people would bring in large boxes of books from retirement homes, and he would just put them all in this one section, and it was all like, I think it was like 50 cents a book, and that was the section I would go to. I would just grab like a bunch of books, and he'd give me like a box to put them all in. Um, wow, really? Wait, is that was that during the Red Scare? Probably. Oh, do we have a Scientologist in here all butthurt? Well, stay butthurt. Stick around. Scientology is um, hyper abusive to people in Scientology, like hyper abusive. Okay, like it's horrific, making people get into dumpsters um, to scrub them clean with toxic cleaning products with no safety gear at all, no masks, no gloves, no nothing. Disgusting and disturbing. And what they will do to children is absolutely abhorrent. What they will allow to happen to children, abhorrent. So you go right on ahead and you boost me up in the algorithm with your comments. You Zikroyable Osuka. Oh, also Zim Abu Eater. I should go to bookstores that carry pro Scientology propaganda and leave DV resource cards in all of them. Yeah. Also, you could print out like information with anti-Scientology books, or Dr. Stephen Hassan, the names of his books. Yeah, just to help people not fall into that trap. That was in Europe. I think that was here too, back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. I know there were a whole lot of people that were blacklisted because they were said to have ties to communism and all the whole Red Scare thing, and then the whole Lavender Scare thing too. That was a thing too. Um, Knowledge reports, you send a copy to ethics and copy to the person. There's also a things that shouldn't be report. What? Which you don't have to send to the person you're reporting on. Backstabbing. Wow. It's just all a big old pile of BS. You know what? I've got a religion for you right here, the path of Ma'at. You don't have to report anyone to anyone unless they're just doing something real bad, and then you report them to the police. It's fine. There is no centralized anyone telling you what to do. Just be good to people. Be good to people, be kind to people, live the path of love. There you go. There you go. You can read whatever you want, you can watch whatever you want. It's fine. I'm gonna start proselytizing. Y'all think I'm kidding. I'm not. I'm really not. Well, they don't you don't have to couch it as if it's anti-Scientology. Just be like, "Here's a really good book too." There you go. Hmm. um, SP, do people in Scientology buy their Scientology books at regular bookstores? Where do they get them? I thought they got them from inside. Like, I thought they bought them from Scientology itself, but I could be wrong because I'm a never in. That's just, you know, what it sounds like to me. I'll just pray to the Morgaine that she shows them mercy when they pass into her realm. Well, I doubt that she will. She's not the most forgiving one. And then, Hecate. Hecate right here, torchbearer, leading people through the darkness to better places. I love Hecate. Not a goddess, a titan. More like an eternal, always been here. From your local organization so they get the points for the birthday game. Stats game. Is that like a lottery? Would that be legal? I have so many questions, and I really, really, really want someone to come up in the box with me sometime to do like a interview slash Q&A. I have so many questions. I mean, oh my God, people. Hey, Caroline, how you doing? It's good to see you. Glad you're here. I am stunned. I had no idea Neil Gaiman had ties to Scientology. No idea. I think so. I don't know. We need someone up here who has been in and can explain all of this BS because what? If anyone comes to you and tells you they have all of the answers to all of the questions of the known universe, they can tell you, they can explain it all to you. They can, listen, here, right here. So this is misnamed. Europeans misnamed this. They call it the Book of the Dead. Actually, the ancient Kemetic people call this the Book of Coming Out into the Light of Day. Because to them, see, here's a common misunderstanding. The ancient Egyptians did not worship death. They worshipped life. They loved life so much they didn't want it to end. So they wanted the afterlife to be a continuation of the here and now. Everything that is like the best about life, that's the field of sweet reeds. That's what the field of sweet reeds or heaven, their version of heaven is. Right? So just be good to people, be kind, be loving, do the things you're supposed to do, which is walk the path of Ma'at. That's what the Pharaoh was supposed to keep. Was supposed to keep and sustain the path of Ma'at. So there you go. There you go. Listen, you don't need some rando dude who hurts everyone around him purposefully to try to give you the answers to anything. Okay? You don't even need that. It's a completion for sales for all the organizations run weekly 2 p.m. Thursday to 2 p.m. Thursday and aim to be top by L. Ron Hubbard's birthday on March each year. There's a birthday event. For a dude who couldn't even figure out how to be nice to the people around him. That's amazing. I wish we taught kids in high school as part of the core curriculum worldwide about abuse tactics, coercive control, disinformation, and propaganda. Yes, absolutely. I'm already like my 7-year-old, I'm trying to inoculate her to destructive groups and all of that stuff and people. Hey, can we start a church of the divine feminine? Absolutely. 1000% I'm on board. Wherein we worship everything great about the feminine form, from the ability to bring life into the world to the beauty inherent within womanhood. Yes. Yes. I mean, if y'all would, be interested in what would the rules be? Learn everything. Read whatever you want. Watch whatever you want. Learn all the things. Never stop growing. Never stop asking questions. Ask all of the questions, in fact. Yeah. I've been wanting to start a religion for a while now. Who would the god be? No, goddess. Yes, many. All of them. Thank you. Competition sales for not completion. Wow. Okay. I'm hanging in there, still recovering from my trip to Florida to see my son, but he triggered me quite a bit. Wow. I hope you're doing better. Don't be a dick. Exactly. No dicks. No being a dick at all. No. Healing journeys encouraged. Doing that work. It's hard, but my religion is don't be an a-hole. Exactly. No gaslighting. No gaslighting. No abuse tactics. Exactly. Well, we encourage having one because, we kind of, oh boy. When I found out that apparently Neil Gaiman has ties to Scientology, I think I experienced a bit of disassociation and like, wait, what? Like it hit me so hard. But then on top of that, there are the allegations. So between the two, I felt overwhelmed, y'all. That's why I haven't live streamed in a few days, because I needed a minute to just absorb and process what the F I was even finding out. Um, yep. In esoteric communities, it's called the sacred androgyny. I know that some people do not like that term, but that's just what it's been called for a long, long time. It was the understanding that, there are a whole bunch of gods and goddesses who will switch from male to female, or maybe they're like somewhere in between, just normally. There were times when Aphrodite kind of would change, and others. So, yeah. The only gaslighting that is acceptable is that you aren't planning a birthday surprise for someone who likes birthday surprises when they actually are. Yeah, that's not really gaslighting, though. That's not destructive. So, yeah, that's more like, I guess some people could say that might be, but it's more planning for a good thing. So that's cool. Yep, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, but it's more like a white lie, so not, like, meant to hurt anyone. Um, wha so, yeah, so as in one of the last live streams, I said that some people will take a little bit of time to process what they're finding out about a person. I went through that. I actively experienced that, and I was really glad that a couple of my friends, when as we were talking about it, just gave me a little bit of time to, um, come to terms, and then once we all it was there were a few of us in a group chat, and once we all kinda processed what we were finding out about Gaiman, um, we were all like, "Okay, so what other author are we going to?" You know, what um, and let's make it public that we are tossing Neil Gaiman to the curb and picking up a different author and encourage people to go this other way. So, I'll look at the authors that have been suggested and do that on all social media apps, you know? That's I will not support someone who has allegations like that and then is trying to basically gaslight and Darvo everyone, entire fan base, right? We're not doing that. The year is 2025. It should be the year of consequences. Like you F around, you find out all the way. That's what it should be, I think. That's good though, because you should never feel like you're not in control of yourself or your situation. That's completely inappropriate. So I'm glad you're starting to feel better. You just came in, what allegations? Neil Gaiman has Neil Gaiman has some very serious allegations against him. There are several articles out right now pertaining to this, and there are other live streams or videos on the tubes that are talking about this. I don't typically share on here. I'm very careful about what I will show on here because I have a lot of survivors, former clients of mine who will watch my videos, and I don't want to trigger them. The allegations are horrific of things that Gaiman apparently did and it's multiple victims. It's not, even if it was just one victim, for me, that's enough. I don't need 100 or more victims to see that there's a problem with someone. Um, the accusations are that Gaiman was R-ing a person with no conversation about what they were or were not into or okay with, or he was couching R-ing people as being a master in a BDSM situation with no negotiations, no consent, no respecting boundaries and limitations, no respecting no to begin with. Um, so, this person who alleges that they are a feminist and they're all about, you know, women's rights and Me Too and he for her and all these things, he apparently is the exact opposite. And Amanda Palmer comes into this too, in that apparently she knew. It's a lot. It's a lot, y'all. Now, Amanda Palmer was in New Orleans back in the day, and I don't know exactly what went down, but I know that she left out of New Orleans real quick. I don't know why, but I know there were some things that went down. Right on, just trigger warning. Trigger warning, be careful. It was a hard read for me, and I'm an ex-victims advocate. It was really hard to read. Um, a lack of connection to the sacred feminine, a complete and utter disconnect from the sacred feminine. That's what's going on with men, sadly. A lot of men. Not all men, of course. I'm really tired of saying that though, because at this point, it is in the millions, maybe even higher. So, so this is not people allowing things to happen. One of the victims in particular, one of the alleged, I hate that I have to say that, one of the alleged victims in particular, um, from what she was saying, it sounded very much like her instincts were triggered. So you have fight, flight, panic, freeze, and fawn. For me, I add fix it in with that. That's an instinct for me as well. A lot of first responders agree with me on that. So at points, it sounded like she froze, most definitely. It also sounded like she fawned. These are survival tactics in an abusive situation. Um, and what was described was Gaiman, Palmer, and some wannabe therapists, three, so that's three people, kind of trying to Darvo and also sidebar how the victim was feeling about what happened. And that Gaiman was using NDAs, which is non-disclosure agreements, to try to silence any victims, offering them money in exchange for signing the NDA, in an attempt to try to discredit victims. Here's the thing, an NDA cannot protect you if you are committing criminal offenses. Let me say that again. NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, cannot protect you if you are committing criminal offenses. So if I'm working security for someone, okay, and I sign an NDA, which protects their privacy, their right to privacy, it does, okay? So then I can't go out and be like, oh yeah, she picks her nose while she's having her makeup done or something. I can't go out and talk about that. But if they're committing a criminal act and I see them do that, I can most assuredly tell anyone and everyone about it. Most people don't understand that when it comes to NDAs, though. I had frenzy, which is what happens when all other natural responses have failed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That might go in with like panic too, though. But yeah, different people may have different instinctual responses. So I have fix it. So if I can't fight, I'll try to fix whatever is happening. And that's what a lot of first responders do. Yep. If you read the Gaiman article, I think there are 2 or 3 out now. Just trigger warning, take your time, but it's good that everyone knows, um, because if he's using women to bring him potential victims, and also he's probably rolling through his fan base, from the sounds of it, to find potential victims. People need to know, just for their safety. Which thing is a Scientology tactic? Frenzy in which you feel nothing is left and you go into such a state wherein you don't care about what happens to you as long as these actions you are As long as in these actions you are able to at least prevent. Right, right. I get you. I totally get you. Yeah, totally understandable. DV is not just restricted to significant other situations. Well, allegedly significant other situations. It can be from a parent to a child, from a child to a parent, among siblings, social groups, workplace situations. So, yeah. And that's got to be hard when it's your child behaving in that way. Just want to acknowledge that. NDAs are a Scientology tactic paying off ex-Scientologists to keep quiet. If they committed a criminal act, though, and that ex-Scientologist and or victim knows about what happened, they don't have to remain silent, even if there is an NDA, because NDAs cannot protect you from. Ah, I wish more people knew this. Um, hmm. Sometimes I just don't know what to think about humans. That's adults, like the grown-ups are supposed to teach the child how to take care of the pets. That's ridiculous. That what? It's not a dog's responsibility to teach you how to be responsible with a dog. That's mm. Lack of training. Yeah, there are a bunch of fake so-called victims advocates out there. There's the Rob Harvey, that dude. He's a victims advocate. He has no clue what he's talking about or how to actually help people, but uh, it's really frustrating for real victims advocates. I'm just saying. People who are actually like trauma informed and trained. Oh, the Rob Harvey has no idea how many victims advocates despise him. Okay, I'm just going to keep this up for a little while, just in case certain people are watching my videos. I'm also going to read it out, probably a couple times. They just put fear into you even after you're long gone. Freeloader debt isn't legally enforceable either, but not knowing that keeps people in. Coercive control can take so many different forms. That's coercive control right there. Right here, this right here is coercive control. It's also threats and intimidation. Mm-hmm. Yep. And probably Darvo, because I'm sure they try to, deny and or deflect, attack, reverse victim and offender, right? That's Darvo. So I'm sure this is also under that category. I have not seen like a document. I would actually someday like to see some of these documents where they're like, you owe us blah, 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 blah. Freeloader debt. And just in the term freeloader debt. But wait a minute. But if you were, oh shit, why am I blanking on what it's called? If you were in their wannabe paramilitary group, what is that called again? OSA? If you were in OSA working your ass off like a slave, not getting sleep or anything else, any of your needs met properly, then you were working your butt off and they should owe you money. But they put the Darvo in the name of it, freeloader debt. It's hey James, how you doing? What's up? Good to see you. Welcome. Oh, don't forget to like and all the things. Y'all see org. Okay, yeah. So freeloader debt. That's guilt. They're heaping guilt, shame, Darvo on you as you're trying to leave to try to keep you in, to try to uh, guilt you into staying, and then also terrify you that you're going to have to pay out all this money for what? For what exactly? That's ridiculous, dude. You owe them for training you had, etc. What can you do with that training in the real world besides, I don't know, the Manson family? Nexium? I mean, really, dude? Yeah. In what way is it actually valuable in like a real world? It's not. It's not. It's just not. Fucking the abuse tactics utilized by Scientology, in my opinion, as a former victims advocate, those abuse tactics are astonishing. And they get you in your mind to abuse yourself too. It's no other company, yeah. And none of the main religions do that. I mean, Opus Dei might. They will have somewhat similar tactics, but like the Catholic Church itself, to my knowledge, doesn't. Um, I mean, you can have social problems that come up, but not like a freeloader debt, right? Um, yeah. A lot of people don't really understand DB. They do. We don't educate people the way we should in this country. It's part of the reason I'm a content creator at all. Opus Dei is insane. Yep. Yes, it is. So there was a book. What was the name of it? Why am I blanking on names of stuff right now? Empathy fatigue. That would be why. Dan Brown. What's the name of that book? Where he talks like one of the main bad guys in that is a member of Opus Dei. They don't actually wear like monks' robes and all that. That's not real. Just an FYI. Da Vinci Code. Right. Thank you. My point of view, Scientology is not a religion, it's a business. Yeah, same. I agree. Absolutely. Wow. Well, I've seen a lot of people talking about who've come out of it, talking about how it wasn't so voluntary. Like it was mandatory and expected that they would just not be paid for all of their labor at all. Da Vinci Code. It's all right. Oh shoot, hold on. I have like a bunch of books that go into the stuff that Dan Brown used to write his book, and everyone knows this. So there's The Bloodline of the Holy Grail and other books along those lines. And then Turning the Hiram Key. Other books like that go more into it A lot of what Dan Brown did in his book, I did read that book. A lot of what he did with that was sensationalize it and just kind of twist things. It's fiction. It's not bad. It's an okay book. It's just Opus Dei. The members of Opus Dei. I don't think any of them wear like monk's robes or any of that. They do the. I don't even know if I can say these certain words on here. So they do the self harm thing and then the leg thing and they do those things apparently, which is messed up. You shouldn't have to harm yourself uh, that way. Listen, there are spiritual paths where the whole point is harm none, harm no one, walk the path of Ma'at. So, all right, y'all, I have to get going. It's just about time for baby girl to come home from school. I might try to live stream again. Tonight, I don't know if I will have the energy. Just, I don't even know, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna, now that I've been able to do some self-care and all of that, I'll try to get back on it. There's a lot to talk about, a whole lot to talk about. But I might try to see if I can live stream again tonight. It's good seeing you too, Carolyn. I hope you, doing better and all that stuff. So, I might be asleep if you stream later. Right on, right on. Well, I mean, you're in the UK, so I know timing is weird, but it's good seeing you. I wish we could pack up and join you over there. That'd be great. All right, y'all. Remember, you have the right to say no. You have the right to say no. And abuse does not equal open relationships, polyam relationships, or BDSM relationships at all, even remotely. And if your no is not respected, you should kick that person to the curb as soon as humanly possible. Oh, you're in the UK too? Right on, right on. I have several people from UK, Canada. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I wish. I really, really friggin' wish that we could just pack up and go. That would be great. All right, y'all. If I don't live stream tonight, I will be live streaming tomorrow. Have a great day or night or morning, wherever you are. All the love and all the hugs and things. And if you read that article about Neil Gaiman, those allegations, please, trigger warning, take breaks if you need to. Remember your self-care, trigger your positive senses. Take your time with it. You don't have to read it all in one sitting. I had to take it in portions. Read it in portions, I should say. All right, y'all. See y'all later. Bye. Thank you too.